people say to me, it's like, why have you been watching like SpongeBob and stuff? I'm like, because it's so good, okay? This is a show that can be enjoyed by adults too, and I'm not going to be made to feel bad about it.
It's a mixture of like nostalgia and look, those episodes are classic. They're great episodes, you know, and there was a reason that at the time it was obviously popular with kids, but it also had an adult audience at the time, you know, because people thought it was funny, you know, they thought it was a good joke.
There's adult jokes now, I'm telling you right now, stuff they couldn't get away with today.
I think it's funny though, because, and I'll say this briefly, you know, I watched that documentary about the Nickelodeon shows.
Yes, quite on set.
Yeah, where they talk about Dan Schneider, who's the guy who did Drake and Josh and Zoe 101.
And iCarly.
And iCarly, of course. I think what's frustrating to me is that, like, I think there's an art almost to doing jokes in a kid's cartoon that the adults can appreciate, because you also don't want to go too far and do a joke that's actually inappropriate for a kid's show or to have on a kid's set. Look, I mean, okay, I'll tell you, because I don't know if you watched, I know you watched some recaps of the documentary, but just in case you didn't see this part, there were multiple scenes in those Nickelodeon kid shows when we were kids watching on TV that were like cum shots, basically.
Oh,
I mean, it's crazy.
Do not come.
They needed someone on set to say that. They really did, because
I have seen that, and
they're doing cum shots on kids. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's well, again, it's so much shadier back in the day that you could get away with stuff like that, and people would just be like, nah, we know Dan. That's what they would say, like, oh, we know Dan.
We know Dan Schneider.
We know Dan.
He's a good guy.
Come on.
Dan is a great guy.
You gotta let him stay.
Unfortunately, they defended his fucking fat ass.
Yeah, they really did.
He was the biggest fucking creep.
Yeah,
I watched Quentin Review's video, and it was like 2 hours long.
Fat, sweaty, stinky ass. And I'm not talking about Quentin Reviews.
To clarify, dude, that video he made it's really good. It's like 2 hours long. It's called We Don't Talk About Dan Schneider.
Oh yeah, shout out Quentin Reviews. That's a great video. It's
really good if you want to watch something. It's definitely a bit of a unique take, but I respect the take.
Yeah, and I think that
he's looking at it from a legal aspect, I suppose.
I think as well, everyone has a right to look back at the kind of content we consumed as kids and talk about, you know, how it culturally affected all of us. I think it's interesting because in the 2000s, like, nowadays, even if something happened, I think, on kids' TV, I think it would still be going around social media or go viral in that way if a kids' show did something outrageous like that. 2000s was a time where there wasn't like a forum or a popular social media forum to go on and be like, what the fuck did I just see on TV? You know what I mean? Like, they aired that shit and it just
went out to the masses. I hope Dan is going to be okay.
Yeah, we all
sucks. He's just so fucking awful, and he had the audacity to come back and be like,
"Oh, his
I owe a few people an apology."
Yeah, he did
like, bro, you should be in fucking jail. You shouldn't be giving your side of the story.
I thought this was funny. He did an interview with Boogie, who's the name of the actor.
I thought you meant, are you mistaken here? Are you talking about Boogie 2988?
No, that's why I thought it was funny. The actor introduces the interview and he goes, "I'm Boogie." And I'm like, what?
Okay.
You're an actor and your name's Boogie?
So he was from iCarly, which I
He was from iCarly, that's right.
I caught the odd episode here and there, but I never watched it.
He played...
But you did, didn't you? You loved it.
I liked iCarly. Well, I watched iCarly for the first few seasons. I never really watched the later seasons, and I think he was more of a main character later in the show. He played someone called Tebow, I think.
Right.
I think he worked at like the I don't know, milkshake bar or whatever the fuck they had, the smoothie bar.
Right. The smoothie bar.
Yeah, and
the local establishment.
yeah, like the Krusty Krab, you know.
Right, I see.
But he did this interview, and I just thought it was so...
It's cringe. Why would you try to fucking defend him? It's so weird.
I got the sense that he was way too afraid to say anything even remotely challenging to this guy. And I think what's crazy too Dan Schneider with his fuck ass beard, like his dumb goatee.
It's dyed. It's so dyed.
Oh, and it's dyed. Yeah, it looks so.
It's like a kind of like longish goatee, and it's.
Thank you, Dan.
Get a,
it's really fucking gross.
Let's just get the.
It's sad, man. It's that. Can those fucks in Hollywood just not mess up for 2 seconds? It's just that. It's like it's nothing sacred. I know Quentin brought up a point in his video where he was like, "Are these shows just like?" Not worth watching just because of all the pain that went into it. I don't know, Jeanette McCurdy's made a comment on that saying that like she personally feels it's okay to keep watching them. It's hard though. It's not. It really does ruin
that
the
is a hard
magic.
question.
It ruins the magic.
Yeah,
It does. It's not the same anymore.
I hate to say it, but I actually think it's also.
So I'm just looking at this goofy ass picture.
I'll get the pickup. Here's
Oh my god.
Here's what we're talking about. This dumbass loser. Yeah, you can literally see it's so obviously dyed. Like he's 100% going
What's up with
grey.
his teeth as well?
Oh, he's got that Hollywood teeth treatment, bro. You think he hasn't got shit whitened and everything? Like, my God, you know.
Daniel, I can really only think of one way to answer this.
Yeah, thank you, Ben.
That's fucking Dan Schneider. You should be in jail. That's the only way I can think of answering this.
He should be in jail. And basically he comes on, he starts yapping, making a bunch of excuses. I mean, one thing he says, for example, it looks like I was picking his nose there for a second. Screw you, Dan.
He deserves it.
He was talking about hiring writers, and he said that he hired 2 writers for the price of 1. But I guess they
were lucky to be there.
Yeah, he basically says that was an industry practice at the time, and we just wanted to be able to give more than one person an opportunity in the business. You know,
The thing, I didn't know he was. Again, this is from Quentin's video. I didn't know that he was a childhood star.
I didn't actually realize that either.
That's insane. And there's this scary thing where I don't know if it was in Quentin's video, but it's like you know, from Drake and Josh, the boss, what's her name, who runs
Oh, Helen? Yeah.
So she, and I remember this episode as a kid, she was a childhood star in the TV
I remember
show.
that episode too, and I didn't realize it was a reference to Dan.
Weird. And all the Dan cameos in the TV shows he
in
has,
the 90s and everything, yeah.
and he would like hide his blog in like all the.
Oh, he would shout out. He would do
shout
his like
his own
Twitter
blog.
shout outs. Yeah, this fucking that fucking creep.
It's just so icky.
It
and
is.
People defended him, and they still do.
Let me put it this way: there's a reason we're sitting behind the SpongeBob set and not the iCarly set, because it's held up better.
Dan is a great guy.
That
And I heard there was some shit on some cartoon shows, but again, unless anything does come out in the future, which I hope it doesn't, I think from as far as I could tell, the SpongeBob set. I think again because it was mostly like adult
cartoons. Yeah, exactly. For one, it's adult cast, and for 2, you're in the booth, not on set per se. So it's a different dynamic where I think there's less chance for like abuse to happen in the way that it did. I mean, for these Dan Schneider shows, abuse was happening on camera. Like they weren't even doing it, you know, to the side of the camera on set. Literally scenes were being filmed showing like abuse, basically.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's sad. It really is. It sucks. It's it's nothing sacred anymore. Like
no, and it's all thanks to this fucking guy. He ruined it.
Okay, that sounds. I don't want to make it about me. Obviously, it's about the victims and stuff. But like, yeah, it just sucks to not have. I mean, this is a piece of art they worked on. I'm sure they don't fucking want it to be tarnished, but it's like, yeah, it is kind of hard to forget that Drake Bell did sex to minor. Though.
That's a tough.
I had to remind a few people about that when.
So
obviously, it sucks what happened to him, but like, it's like he still did sex to minor. I think he was 30 and she was like.
Yeah, like 15 or something,
14, 15,
yeah,
16.
even younger than that. Yeah,
Pretty
I mean,
young. It's kind of odd.
I think that to assume that I think people find it hard to have 2 ideas in their head at once. Like, someone can be a victim and a perpetrator at the same time, and you can have sympathy for them as a victim, and also, you know, I don't want to say hatred, but condemnation for them as a perpetrator as well. You know, you don't have to either completely condemn them because they did something bad or completely forgive them because they were a victim. You know, the world is not black and white, people, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's not, and it's just, yeah. That's why YouTube is so good. Like we have the production here. We ain't fucking.
So I just want to say,
slagging each other off behind the scenes.
You know, you said about this guy Dan Schneider. Where is he? How do I point to him over here? Being a child star. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah. He did the show, and surely the kind of show that was being done at the time, with the way that it would air on TV and syndication and residuals. I mean, he had that Hollywood set up live, where I'm sure he could have lived a fairly comfortable Hollywood life instead of, like, when he left acting, he could have just retired.
Absolutely.
And lived okay.
Yeah,
but
residuals
instead,
are a thing.
You having a good time?
He chose, residuals were a thing.
Particularly back in the day.
Exactly, and he chose to enter the industry of children's television and basically scar a generation of performers and viewers.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder what, you know, it's like when young Sheldon finishes, is like 10 years from now, is he
You're
gonna
obsessed with that shit, eh?
Is young Sheldon gonna be the next Dan Schneider? Like, I don't know what.
Oh my god. Well, I don't. And please bind me if this is too much deep. But like,
oh boy.
No, I genuinely, I'm not trying to compliment this fucking freak. But the thing is, Dan Schneider, unfortunately, and this happens so much in this fucking industry, you have these people who are obviously very talented. There's no denying that Dan fucking was successful. It's just so shit that he couldn't. He just had to fuck it up. But he genuinely was like a fucking. He was so big. Like, he created.
And
he created childhood memories for everyone. He created the TV shows that everyone would watch.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't. That wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not in any way defending him, by the way. I'm just saying, like, you can't. I hate to even say this, but you can't deny that he, I guess, was. He knew what he was doing. Like, he. I don't want to say he was a good producer, but it's kind of hard to deny that he wasn't. Is that bad to say?
No.
I am not by any means fucking defending that disgusting freak, but it's like, yeah, it's like how R. Kelly was a big artist.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look, I think
people loved his music. People loved Dan's TV shows.
Look, you can say that, you know, R. Kelly's a good musician, Michael Jackson's a good musician, Dan Schneider was a good producer. They were talented, but I think this is what. Yeah, no, I'm about to get cancelled for that take.
No, I don't mean that. But I mean, I guess it kind of is a compliment. I'm not meaning it as a compliment though. It's like,
here's what I think. It's like what I was talking about. No, look.
I'm sorry, please.
It's what I was saying before. People have to be able to hold this idea in their head that, in a way, you know, the talent, the fame, and all this stuff, it's actually because of those things that they get to these heights in the industry and they become like untouchable
freaks,
corporate gods, you know, where the actors can't say anything, the parents on set can't say anything. No one can question this guy because everyone's like, well, he's a talented producer, he did this and that, and so how could we question that, you know?
No, that's the thing. It's sad and it's scary, and you know, he obviously was like a power hungry freak, and he had a talent and he fucking tarnished it all. I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but yeah, I guess he's a fucking disgusting freak. We all knew that.
Me neither. You know,
it's been said for years. Everyone knew it. It's probably because the kids signed NDAs, or they're like you said, just too scared to talk.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the industry standard.
Sad. It's just too scared to talk. Everyone's like, Dan's a great guy. We know Dan would never do that. It's like, well, maybe he fucking did. Yeah, so.
Donkeys. Yeah, I mean, look, all I can say is I'm glad that growing up, you know, in 2005, we had a show run by someone who did not tolerate any on-set shenanigans or bad set environments whatsoever, right?
Maybe.
Even our heroes.
Christopher Eccleston.
Even our heroes.
John Barrowman getting his fucking ding dong out. We have John Barrowman on the side. That's him. That's literally him. Laughing because he was like, people said no one would come and see me at this con, and now they did.
And now look at me now, baby.
He's like, I got my cock out on set, and people still come to see me.
Yeah, we can't deny that. Jack, what's his name? John.
Well, yeah, technically you're right.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's kind of his name.
Yeah, but Russell, I think Russell's definitely, well, maybe he hasn't, who knows, with this whole Millie Gibson bullshit. But it's like, Russell, I think, is the type of guy to learn, I think, from his mistakes.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Why do I feel like I'm going to get a lot of fucking backlash for everything I've been saying today?
Hey, that's what we do here. We have the hottest takes around.
Don't take anything I say as gospel. I'm just giving you my 2 cents.
We're just guys, folks. We're just here for a laugh.